to put each one of those kings on y'all band page, because somebody asked me about it. I'm just going to just say Wikipedia, so that way you'll be able to see. I mean, that way you'll be able to have, you'll be able to remember what they are. So I'm gonna do that as we speak. So anyway, does anybody got any questions and or comments? And it doesn't have to be about today's lesson. It can be about today's lesson. It can be about anything. Got any questions or comments? And if y'all don't have one, don't worry, I got one for you. So, you know what I mean? Something that me and Brother Lee been dealing with. So you got questions or comments, you guys? All right. We got. So you said you have one. All right, and then we got Sister Paula got one. So let's get her first, and then we'll come back up. What you got for me, sis?
I don't think she knows it's her first.
You say she don't know she first?
Yeah.
I think she's reading it.
No, yeah, I'm waiting on her for a second. Meantime, I'm putting these joints on this damn app. So we can get so people can have all of them on. Since you know we're waiting on your question, right? Sister Paula? You know we're waiting on your question, right?
She didn't know.
Oh, you didn't have a question? Yeah. You have one? Oh, go ahead. Yeah. We're waiting on you.
Today's lesson.
Uh-huh.
Said, man had 7,000 years. The first 2,000.
Man doesn't have 7,000 years, 6,000 years.
The 7,000 years according to God's calendar. It's going to be 7 days. 1 day is 1,000 years. So 7,000 years in total. You didn't even let me finish saying what I'm trying to say. 1,000 for Adam, 1,000 for Noah. Then we counted 1,000 for Jesus' kingdom. So the 4,000 in between, that's what we went through today. So, and you said 2,000 of those years, or 2,000 years ago was Jesus. So if we break it down like 1,000, 1,000, 1,000, who are kings that represent those years?
I got you. Very good question. And really, that question is more historical than anything else. So I'm going to use this because we kind of did it last week. As a matter of fact, we're going to use this page. This is going to help a little bit. So I'm going to tell you what this is. I don't know if you can see it really. This is a timeline. Nimrod was 2000 BC, actually 2300 BC is what they gave. Jesus Christ was like 33 AD. So all the kings, I think I got one. All the kings that we covered, okay, so King David is here. I don't have a date for him on here. But after, Babylon started, here, actually I got that up here too. Yep, here we go. So, this might help too. 2 Chronicles chapter 36 was written around 626 BC. So 626 BC to 540 would have been Persia. Well, it would have been from Babylon to Persia. And then from 540 to 300s would have been to the Greek era. And then around 100 AD would have been Rome. So that would have been, I'm going to give you the exact numbers because you write them down. That would have been on the timeline before. So here's what I'm about to do. I'm about to give you a whole bunch of dates because you write them down now, right? All right. So the first date we're going to do is Moses. Moses and Egypt. All right. Everything I'm going to give you is going to be in order too, okay? So you can write, anybody can write this down. Even if you're online, we creating a little timeline, like a little biblical timeline. So, based off of the historians, Moses was about 14 to 1500 CE, BCE. So that would mean, that's the first thing we putting on there. Now, we could say Babylon, Hammurabi, we could put that on there first. We talked about that today. That would have been 2300. So 2300 would have been Babylon, the original. Then Moses would have been, based off of this, around 1400 BC. All right. Now, let's go to another. We can go to King David now. King David of Israel. They giving him a number of. Let's see if they're giving us a number for him. Okay, so King David, they saying that he died around 970 BCE or before Christ. So he would be 970. So what we're doing right now is we're walking to Christ, and then we're gonna leave Christ, and we're gonna try to catch everything up to that point. Okay. So King David, we're gonna say 970 BCE. Now, as we continue to walk in time, now we're gonna get Babylon. So we're gonna get, first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get old King Nebuchadnezzar. All right, and King Nebuchadnezzar also spelled Nebuchadnezzar, was the second king of Neo-Babylon, ruling from the death of his father. 605 BC is the death of Nebuchadnezzar that we read about in the Bible. All right, so when I give you that's the death, we just know he ruled around that time. To me, any number that we calling out right now is not necessarily to the dot, because y'all really know when Moses was here, but we're very close. So Nebuchadnezzar, 605 BC. Now, the next one after Nebuchadnezzar, we're gonna do the Medo-Persian Empire. So it says the Medo-Persian Empire. All right, so the Academia Empire, that's another name for it, also called the First Persian Empire, was an ancient Iranian empire based in Western Asia that was founded by Cyrus the Great in 550 BCE. So that's about the time we can put for that. So that's the next thing of events that we covered today that we can put on our timeline. Okay. Now we're gonna go to the next one, which would have been we're just gonna put Alexander the Great. We're gonna type him up. Alexander the Great. Alexander the Great is, they said he died 323 BC. So we can put his kingdom 320. So the Greeks would be next, and that would be about 320 BC. Okay? Now we're gonna go with Rome. Oh, Rome. Not really. Rome. Rome, okay. Why do you want to give me? No, that's funny. The city of Rome is 2,700 years old. That's cute. Exactly, though. Ancient Rome. Okay. The kingdom of Rome, they're saying it started. They're giving a bunch of little dates because it just depends on how you really look at it. So let's just say, let's go with the empire. Well, we can go with the republic. So they say Rome was from 509 to 27 as a republic, then 27 to 476 AD. So basically, we're gonna say Rome was from 500 BC through Jesus Christ, all the way till 476 AD. Right, that's what we're gonna say for Rome. Now, you might say, well, Rome and Greece, they overlapping. Yeah, because it was a transition of power. But really, Greece was the power first, then Rome became the power. Because we studied today that Rome came out of one of those four generals when we was in Daniel chapter 8, from one of the Greek four generals. Okay? So, now, Rome continued to survive. Even though it fell as an empire, it continued to survive through individuals. And these individuals, I'm going to give you their name and their years. All right? So the first one is Justinian. And I'm going to give you his year too. Justinian, let's see. J-U-S-T, Justinian. And he is 500. Justinian the first, also known as Justinian the Great, was emperor of Eastern Roman emperor from 527 to 565. So now, we 500 years after Christ now. So if you're doing a timeline, or if you're writing this out, that's where that should be placed. All right, now after Justinian, we're gonna look up Charles V. Charlemagne the Great. Charlemagne, that's what we want first. Charlemagne. We're gonna see Charles V, but Charlemagne next. Charlemagne, former Holy Roman Emperor. Charlemagne, or Charles the Great, a member of the Carolingian dynasty, was king of the Franks from 768, king of Lombards from 774, and the first Holy Roman Emperor from 800. So even though Justinian is saying he was a Holy Roman Emperor, they credit Charles I as the first one. But Justinian, we know, was the first one, because he said two. All right? Now, after Charlemagne, it's Otto the Great. Otto the Great. And Otto the Great, or Otto the First, traditionally known as Otto the Great, was East Frankish king from 936 and Holy Roman Emperor from 962 until his death, 973. That's Otto the Great. Otto, A-O-T-T-O, and I think that might be on your band app too. I was putting them on there, to be honest, while we was talking about it. So let me make sure that get on there. New York, cool, alright, cool. Alright, now after Otto the Great, Charles V. I'm gonna tell you his stuff in a second too. Charles, I know he ruled in Spain, if I'm mistaken. Charles, I think this Charles Martel, if I ain't mistaken, like the drink. You know, Martel, I think this is the one. No. Charles V was Holy Roman Emperor and Archduke of Austria from 1519 to 1556. King of Spain from 1516 to 1556. Lord of the Netherlands as tutelar Duke of Burgundy from 506 to 555. He was Holy Roman Emperor the whole time though. So we can put the end of his reign was 1558. 1558.
So,
Go ahead, bro.
I see they using the word Duke, like, you see Edom use Duke, like, could that be?
No, Duke is like a title for like a prince or something. So that's what they call them, dukes there. Did they get it from Edom? They couldn't. You know what I'm saying? And male holding the highest hereditary title in the British and certain other peerages. That's what a duke is. Alright, and then what we got? Charles. So we got Justinian, Charlemagne, Otto the Great, we got Charles. Alright, next on our list, Napoleon, Napoleon Bonaparte. Now it ain't gonna say that he was a Roman Empire by first look. You gotta have to do some homework. It will say you 5'6" though. But he died in 1840. So, you know, he was pretty much ruling up until that point, you know, until his death, 1840. So we can say that. And then the last of it is Mussolini. We still waiting on another, because we waiting on that number 7 and 8. Mussolini was 5'7". All these boys are short. And he died in 1945 during World War II, April 28th. That's my Sean's birthday. It was April 28th, 1945. So what you should have on there is you should have, if you got 2300 or if you got the Babylon, that could be first. But then you should have Egypt on there, David. Then you should have Nebuchadnezzar, and the Medo-Persian, the Greeks, and the Romans. So all that would be before Christ. So all that would be in that 2,000 year span or so coming into Christ. So like if we doing a timeline of man, the first 1,000 years, and we know Adam didn't live to be 1,000, he lived to be 900 and some change, would have pretty much been Adam. Then Adam and Noah don't cross. Like they crossed with some players together. Meaning Noah was alive when people that was alive when Adam was alive. But Noah and Adam don't cross. Meaning the if I got the numbers right, and I'm pretty sure I do in my brain, Noah comes like a couple years after Adam died. So that's basically what we're saying is, that's 2,000 years of time for mankind. Then we covered from Egypt, all of that, to basically the middle of Rome is about 2,000 years. And then from the middle of Rome to all those European kings and stuff up until the present day would be the last 2,000. And then we would have the 1,000 years of peace. So did that kind of help answer your question? Perfect. Perfect. Yep. Very good. And really after a while, you mess with it long enough, you just remember that stuff, you know, because honestly, like, and it's just interesting to me, but that's because I don't read off the past, and I don't watch movies like the Borgies, even though I do be fast forwarding the bad scenes, but no, because it's really true, it's these are these people, you know, like when you watch, they be showing these medieval shows, when they like the Borgies, yeah, whatever, like these are real people, and they really, like, you gotta go look up these, because it's all family oriented anyway. So you gotta look it up in history, and then you're gonna be able to place it in its right place, and then you're gonna be able to follow what's going on when you watch. What was the other one besides the? It was that one, and it was another one. Oh, the Tudors. Yeah, that was another one. You know what I'm saying? So you know all that stuff, man. And then the little movies, even going down to like, anybody ever watch a Salem witch movie? You know what I'm saying? Like, they actually have something called Salem. It's like a like a movie about the Salem witches. Even that can place itself in time, and it has something to do with Catholicism and what they was doing and how they was functioning. So like I said, all that kind of stuff just kind of interests me, but it's easy to keep up with. So hopefully that helped you, sis. What you got for me?
So, the school started back up, and I was talking to my daughters about peer pressure.
Yes.
And we could only come up with one example of someone coming to peer pressure was Aaron when he made the calf. And so, and he didn't really even get a consequence from what I can remember. So we were trying to, I would like to know more examples of people or someone coming to peer pressure and showing the consequence of that.
All right. All right. We got a couple. I'm gonna give you some names first, so we're not gonna read all of them. But Ahab, and what was it? Jezebel. Yeah, when you look at that whole little story, like, you know, because he was satisfied with not getting that man vineyard at first, but then she come back like, what you mean? Like, you the king? That's peer pressure. All right. Here's another example of peer pressure, and we're gonna read some of them. So, when Solomon died, Rehoboam became king, and one of the first questions they asked Rehoboam is you gonna rule like this, or you gonna rule like that? And the old school cats came in like, nah, you need to rule one way, but the young guys say, nah, you need to rule like this. So that's another example. You know what I'm saying? Like where you could just kind of see, peer pressure, like we're talking. Another form of peer pressure, and this ain't none of this is what we're gonna read. The one we're gonna read, I ain't talking about yet. The other form of peer pressure is, so Peter, you know him? You with them? I ain't with them. Them are all your peers, and the pressure that you gotta understand what peer pressure is. You know what I'm saying? Peer pressure is challenging your integrity. You know what I'm saying? It's trying to see if you with or not with something, you know what I'm saying, that you should be or that you saying to be, but everybody else ain't. So that's what Peter, like, you with them? No. So that was the peer pressure. He succumbed to the peer pressure. Okay? Now, let's go look at the one we're gonna look at. Let's go to Samuel. 2 Samuel. 2 Samuel, and let's look at chapter 2 Samuel chapter 13. 2 Samuel chapter 13. Yeah, that's a great question, and I think I've actually put it in and this is the sister that was here was saying she catches some of the episodes of Burning Midnight Oil. I think one of the earlier ones I did we was talking about that peer pressure and stuff like that in there. Because most of the time, believe it or not, burning midnight oil is really for the kids. And when I say that, because grown folks, we think we know everything. And when I do those lessons, they gonna be simple. You know what I'm saying? They gonna always, and my kids are sitting there. But here's the catch to something though. If you know me personally, you know that I'm really gonna give it to my kids more raw than I give it to you. You know what I mean? Like, and not to say, well, I lie to you about something, but I'm saying like I can't. You know what I'm saying? Like I gotta give them every ounce of the truth of it. You know what I mean? So we had talked about it then, but so that's what that burning midnight oil is. I try to address the kids' issues there too, big time. You know what I mean? Because because it's 12 scriptures, it kind of make it easy too. Because it's like, dang, you put 3 together and you put another 3 and you're done. You know what I mean? So anyway, but 2 Samuel chapter 13, and let's pick it up at verse 1. And this is, I think, a pretty good, and when I say a pretty good example, it's going to even use words like friend. You know what I mean? So let's go. Let's take off.
And it came to pass after this, that Absalom the son of David had a fair sister, whose name was Tamar. And Amnon the son of David loved her.
His brother loved her. Go ahead.
And Amon was so vexed that he fell sick for his sister.
He loved her so much it drove him sick, like it made him sick almost, because he really wanted her. Go ahead.
For she was a virgin, and Amon thought it hard for him to do anything to her.
Right. So, and generally peer pressure is, in the ideal of peer pressure is somebody pressuring you to do. You know what I mean? But really, the reality is peer pressure is when your people that's your age or whatever, when they don't have to be pressing you though. You know what I'm saying? That's how we take the word. When they even swaying you, and that's what we're gonna see here. Keep going.
But Amon had a friend whose name was Jonadab.
Right. So you see now you want to listen to Jonadab. You know what I mean? Like you got a friend. Go ahead.
The son of Shimeah,
His cousin, actually. Go ahead.
David's brother. And Jonadab was a very subtle man.
Mm-hmm.
And he said unto him, Why art thou, being the king's son, lean from day to day?
Now, what's wrong, man? Why you all sick and stuff? You the king's son. That's that peer pressure, that conversation that's coming with you. Go ahead.
Wilt thou not tell me? And Amon said unto him, I love Tamar, my brother's Absalom's sister. And Jonadab said unto him, Lay thee down on thy bed, and make thyself sick.
He coming up with the whole plan and everything. Go ahead.
And when thy father cometh to see thee, say unto him, I pray thee, let my sister Tamar come, and give me meat, and dress the meat in my sight, that I may see it, and eat it at her hand. So Amon lay down and made himself sick. And when the king was come to see him, Amon said unto the king, I pray thee, let Tamar my sister come, and make me a couple of cakes in my sight, that I may eat at her hand. Then David sent home to Tamar, saying, Go now to thy brother Amon's house, and dress him meat.
So that's good. And then what's going to end up happening to Amon is Absalom going to end up murdered. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, I'm looking at peer pressure more like just the counsel of your peers. It's the pressure of them, but it's the counsel. And this is what we see here, even in this story, where you went and listened to your stupid cousin. And ultimately, when you continue into that chapter, your cousin got you dead. Because you end up sleeping with, then after he end up, here's the thing too, something else in this story. So he ended up sleeping with the girl. Now remember, he really was in love, really wanted, watch what happens after. So this is all, like when we telling a story of peer pressure to the kids, it's like, yeah, the excitement of what everybody want us to do seems like it's going to take us to a high that we really this is going to be really fun. Like, let's go steal mom's car, right? You know what I'm saying? Go joyride, right? But then when you're done, it was like, yeah, really? That wasn't nothing. Watch this, though. So, let's skip down to verse, what she had brought the, Let's get down to verse 11.
And when she had brought them unto him to eat, he took hold of her,
So this is Amnon took his sister now. Go ahead.
and said unto her, Come lie with me, my sister.
Go ahead.
And she answered him, Nay, my brother, do not force me, for no such thing ought to be done in Israel. Do not thou this folly.
Go ahead.
And I, whither shall I cause my shame to go? And as for thee, thou shalt be as one of the fools in Israel. Now, therefore, I pray thee, speak unto the king, for he will not withhold me from thee.
Go ahead.
Howbeit he would not hearken unto her voice, but, being stronger than she, forced her, and lay with her.
Uh-huh.
Then Amnon hated her exceedingly.
See, after that, as bad as you wanted her at first, now you don't even like her no more. So, and that's the whole thing about, peer pressure. Like, it seemed like it's coming one way, like, yeah, it's going to be, but then once you do it, you know what I'm saying? It's like, it wasn't all that it was cracked up to be. Go ahead.
So that the hatred wherewith he hated her was greater than the love wherewith he had loved her. And Amnon said unto her, Arise, be gone.
And then she gonna snap on him like, yo, you doing me worse now. It's bad enough you laid with me, but now you putting me away? Like, that was a worse or evil. Go ahead and read that.
And she said unto him, There is no cause. This evil in sending me away is greater than the other that thou didst unto me. But he would not hearken unto her. Then he called his servant that ministered unto him, and said, Put now this woman out from me, and bolt the door after her.
And what ended up happening? Let's jump down and see what ended up happening. Let's skip down to verse 27.
But Absalom pressed him, that he let Amnon and all the king's sons go with him. Now Absalom had commanded his servants, saying, Mark ye now when Amnon's heart is merry with wine. And when I say unto you, Smite Ammon, then kill him, fear not. Have not I commanded you? Be courageous and be valiant.
So what we seeing here at the end of the day is you listening to the pressure of your cousin. That's what he was listening to. It got you killed. So again, it's different stories. Like, that's just one. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, when Solomon died and the kingdom got split up, and it was like, you had the elders coming one way, but you had the youth coming another. You know what I'm saying? You faced with a decision. You listened to the wrong group. They was pressing you. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, also Jezebel and Ahab. So
Brother Stan read one last week with a prophet that was not supposed to stop and eat bread, and I just can't remember where it was.
that's in Kings.
Oh.
Yeah, and they call him. It's funny because he was called a man of God, and he was sent to do I'm gonna tell you exactly where it is in a minute. He was sent to go and tell. I want to say it was King. Josiah, but that seemed like that's too far, so that couldn't have been him. But he was sent to tell the king. I'm about to find it in a second. That about what's gonna happen off in the future. It's 1 Kings chapter 13. That's where it is. And Jeroboam is the king that I think he was sent to. And he kept telling them, don't do it. When you go straight there. Go straight. Do not go nowhere else. And then this other guy who was supposed to be a prophet, it said, and the man of God said unto the king, if thou wilt give me half your house. I'm in 1 Kings 13 and 8. Half your house I will not go in with thee, neither will I eat bread nor drink water in this place. For so was it charged me by the word of the Lord, saying, eat no bread, nor drink water, nor turn again by the same way that thou camest. So he went another way and returned, not by the way that he came to Bethel. Now there dwelt an old prophet in Bethel, and his sons came and told him all the works that the man of God had done that day in Bethel. And the words which he had spoken unto the king, them they told also to the fathers. They told them both. Told them, like, this is what he did, and then he said he got to go straight home. And then he said, unto his son, saddle me the ass. So they saddled him his ass, and he rode thereon and went after the man of God and found him sitting under an oak. And he said unto him, art thou the man of God that came from Judah? And he said, I am. Then he said, come home with me and eat bread. And he said, I may not return with thee, nor go in with thee, neither will I eat bread nor drink water with thee in this place. For it is said to me by the word of the Lord, thou shalt eat no bread nor drink water there, nor turn again to go by thy way that thou camest. He said unto him, I am a prophet, also as thou art. And the angel spake unto me by the word of the Lord, saying, bring him back with thee into thy house, that he may eat bread and drink water. But he lied unto him. So you gotta try to like, if the Lord done told you to do something, it really don't matter what anybody else say. You know what I'm saying? Because I don't know if you lying or not, but the Lord told me to go straight there. You telling me stop at your crib. How about we both just go? How about you come back with me? And then we sit here and ask the Lord, can I go to your crib when I'm done? You know, something like that, because I know what I need to do. But yeah, that's definitely a good example as well. You know what I'm saying? Of like when we saying peer pressure is just when your peoples, you know what I'm saying, whatever, they getting you to do something that's really against your you know, whatever they on, really. It's just whatever they on. So hopefully that helped give you a couple of them.
Would Saul be an example of peer pressure too? Because he was constantly, every time he did something wrong, he was like, these people, you know, he was scared of what the people were going to say.
I would agree. Because when we say peer pressure, what we're talking about is the pressure from our peers. You know what I'm saying? Like even, I think you might have mentioned Aaron at first with the, like, and that's what, like you down there, like you getting hit with the pressure of your peer. You can stand and say no, or you can go on and give in. And that's what we're really talking about. People who done gave in to their peers, they done succumb to peer pressure. And Saul is an excellent example because the question was, do we have some examples where people actually, the punishment, like we saw Ammon die, we see this dude die, Saul got turned reprobate. So if you're going to listen to others before the Lord, and with Saul, this is what I'm working on too, but with Saul, let's go to 1 Samuel real quick. Chapter, let me see, we're going to get there. Chapter 15. 1 Samuel 15 and 23. When you get there, I want you to, 22 and 23. Because with Saul, we learned this lesson from all that. Because this comes with that peer pressure. And I'm going to show you what we talking about coming with the peer pressure. Go ahead.
And Samuel said, hath the Lord as great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as in obeying the voice of the Lord?
See, ultimately, he said, I don't really care what anybody else on. It's just about obedience to God or not. You know what I mean? And it's just like the bums on the street, right? Like, for the life of me, my peoples be like, yo, they hustling. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. I can't succumb to your pressure. I really don't care what they do. My job, if I got $1, give them $1. Just $1. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm not trying to pressure you to be that way. I'm saying, but on my end, Glenn might be like, but bruh, I'm telling you, man, like he be out here hustling people with that. You know what I'm saying? And hey, look, man, a lot of them do. I don't know. You know, we had the giveaway, right? And they was talking about how some of these Hamites, Africans, you know, and we got a lot in my neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? How they be, they'll take the clothes and they gonna go sell them. Because, you know, we giving away clothes. And you know, if you got clothes for me, man, I mean, I wasn't giving you no crap. Like, I just gave you the stuff that I couldn't really fit, but it was all still good clothes. You know what I'm saying? Like, in my mind, like, I gave you whatever I'm wearing, whoever got my clothes, they gonna wear my clothes. So that's, to me, that means something, right? So it's definitely worth selling. That I can tell you, too. So, and I'm saying, I don't really care if that's what they doing. You know what I'm saying? Because the pressure is, so let's not give to them. That's what, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like, I don't care what they doing. Because even if I was able to give you a nice pair of Levi's that you shook for $20, great. That's $20 more you was able to put in your pocket. You know what I'm saying? Most of them people sending that stuff home from what I hear. But I can't succumb to peer pressure. You understand what I'm saying? And start thinking like you. That's, you know what I'm saying? That's the whole, I already got a mentality on how I function with this. I'm not going to change because of your pressure. All right? So go ahead, keep reading.
Had Samuel said, had the Lord as great delight in burnt offerings and sacrifices as in obeying the voice of the Lord? Behold, to obey is better than sacrifice, and to hearken than the fat of rams.
Go ahead.
For rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and idolatry.
See, we looking at Saul, you know what I'm saying? And we learning this from the lessons of him being disobedient. Like, bruh, stubbornness is at the sin of witchcraft. But we talking stubbornness to who? To God and to his word in this case. He like, you being disobedient to him is just like somebody else being a witch. So, you know, when you succumb to peer pressure, you know what I'm saying, and it got you outside of what God's saying to do, like, look where he equating that to. You know what I'm saying? Witches should be dead. So, when we start looking at it, you say with consequence, you see there go his consequence. Because ultimately, you know what I'm saying, he ended up going to seek a witch. And he did ultimately end up dying as a result of his mentality, which succumbed to peer pressure. So hopefully that helped you with some ideas. You know what I'm saying? Another one, Ananias and Sapphira, or whatever, in Acts. When she came in, you know, he came in, the whole thing was a peer pressure situation. First of all, y'all agreeing to sell your property was peer pressure. You know what I'm saying? You ain't have to do that if you want to do that. Then if you coming in, no, not him coming in lying, but she done came in there lying now. You know what I'm saying? Like, you succumbed to the pressure. You know what I'm saying? Because you knew that y'all didn't sell that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, and we see their death was the end of it. So, you know, like I said, it's a lot of examples. You know, again, once you really comprehend what peer pressure is when somebody trying to get you something that's really against your integrity. You know what I'm saying? It don't have to be a whole bunch of people pressing you. It could be one person, one time. That's still peer pressure. Like, you ever seen Boys in the Hood? Mm-hmm. Remember that time she's like, here, peer pressure. And yeah, see, one time. You know what I'm saying? Like, even trying to get him to drink. You know what I'm saying? Just one time. So, again, hopefully that helped a little bit. No doubt. More questions? More comments? More questions, more comments. I'll ask y'all a question. This one being Brother Lee been on. Listen carefully, and we all should know this. Women's cycle. If a woman is on her cycle for 2 days, how many days is she unclean? And if she's on her cycle for 8 days, how many days is she unclean?
14.
Ain't bad. How y'all know this? Let's go read this. I know, right? What you say? How do I know? I got called time out in the middle of the week. Okay, that's great. That's great. I just want to make sure that we gonna read it. So the question came to me, and here's what it was. So what if a woman goes on her cycle and she goes past the 7 days, 8th day, 9th day? You know what I'm saying? What are you supposed to do? And I'm like, well, then you count 7 days from the day it stopped, and you continue forward. He says, so then, why don't you count 7 days from the day it stops normally? Like, for example, if it goes for 2, like, first of all, if it go 1 day, because believe it or not, brothers, some sisters, I'm sure, especially at their younger age, may have only had 1 day of bleeding. And then, you know, so then at that, you count from that next day 7 days. Or what if it's 4 days? And the argument is if you count after the 4th day, 7 days. Now, that's not what I understand. Yeah, well, you know. There you go, right? Well, and that's cool, because the person that came to me with the question don't understand it that way either. It's somebody else somebody else brought them the question. Like you said, that's how we understood it at first. Now, personally, I ain't understand it nowhere at first, because I didn't care. But once it was explained to me, I understood it. Like the sister said, it's 7 days, and if you go past your 7, then it's gonna be 14. And if you go past your 14, it's gonna be 21, because the cycle is 7. That's the whole key. So it's not 4 plus 7. You understand? Or 3 plus 7. But we're gonna read it, and as we read it, we might see why it could be unclear. And hopefully, we're going to Leviticus 15.
Where?
Leviticus 15, and hopefully, to my brother Lee, because me and him been chopping this up. we can, when you catch this part, where are we anyway? Do you know what number we are time-wise on the thing? Can you tell, like, if we was, like, if I wanted to give somebody the video and say, go to the, can you tell? If you can't tell, don't sweat it. All right, no pressure. I'll find it later. You know what I'm saying? No pressure.
Tell them go to 39 minutes.
39 minutes. All right, thank you.
But between 30 and 40.
All right, cool. Because when I send it to him, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna send him the video at about this 39 mark or 40 mark is where I'm gonna send it. You know what I'm saying? That's how we go. And in that way, because we about to go back over. Me and him went over. I just wanted him to, because he called me when I was on my way up here. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, I couldn't even talk at the moment because I was in New York getting lost, man. So, man, look here, man. It's, the last 3 times, man, I do the same stupid turn coming off that Verrazano. Because the traffic don't be where I'm going, that's because you shouldn't be going there either. You should be going where all this traffic is going. And so by the time I realize it, but I be looking at, man, y'all New Yorkers, man. So anyway, Leviticus chapter 15, and let's just start at verse 1, man. Start at verse 1. Let's just rock through the whole thing for a little bit. Go ahead.
And the Lord spake unto Moses and to Aaron, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and say unto them, When any man hath a running issue out of his flesh.
All right, so a running issue out of your flesh is some type of boil or, a bad, some type of scab or something for a man. That's all that is. So this applies for a woman too. So if a woman has some type of scab or some type of running issue, now, here's the catch though. Another running issue that a man might have, but you shouldn't have no business having it, is some type of STD. You know what I mean? So it's still going to apply, but the Lord wasn't talking about that. Because shouldn't know about how you going to get STD. How you going to get the STD if you keep the commandments? Should be absolutely scientifically impossible. But I'm just saying, that's another way. But when he was giving the men this ordinance, it also applies for the women too so far. If they have some type of issue, some type of, puncture or whatever. Go ahead. Verse 3.
And this shall be his uncleanness in his issue, whether his flesh run with his issue, or his flesh be stopped from his issue, it is his uncleanness. Every bed whereon he lieth that hath the issue is unclean, and everything whereon he sitteth shall be unclean.
Go ahead.
And whosoever toucheth his bed shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the evening.
We're not going to do all that. So let's skip down to verse 11. Because everything up to that is just saying whatever he touched, whatever, unclean till evening. 11.
And whomsoever he toucheth that hath the issue, and hath not rinsed his hands in water, he shall wash his clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even. And the vessel of earth that he toucheth, which hath the issue, shall be broken, and every vessel of wood shall be rinsed in water. And when he that hath an issue is cleansed of his issue, he shall number to himself 7 days for his cleansing, and wash his clothes, and bathe his flesh in running water, and shall be clean.
Okay, so at verse 13, and when he have an issue, it's cleansed. So when his issue is over, then he got to count 7 days. Now, when we look at this, again, this is because of something that didn't happen, some type of maybe puncture, some type of illness, not something that's going to happen every month, though. Something that may have happened. You got to wait pretty much till your joint over with. Because if you decide to, let's say you just decide to wait, like let's say you had some pus, right? I don't know if anybody ever had some type of boil or something, right? And then it might pulse out a day or two, then stop. Then as you know, still be some more, and then day 3 or 4 it could do it. So what he's saying is really at the end of the day, you need to wait this out. Like really, we talking real science when you're reading this. Like you need to wait. And so once you think it's done, give it 7 days. That's what we got so far. And that's men or women. And that's in regards to some type of issue that's running off your flesh or whatever, you know. Maybe even like a bad pimple, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? But whatever the case is, give yourself 7 days. Go ahead, what verse?
Oh, where are we? 13? 12?
13 is what we at now?
And 14?
All right, then on the 8th day. So, and that's what we were talking about this. And when it comes to a woman's cycle and all that, the 8th day, we see the 8th day in the Bible very few times. But we see it after the circumcision, 7 days, and on the 8th day we circumcise. We also see it with this cycle, 7 days, and on the 8th day you clean. And then we see it with mankind. Mankind gonna be on this earth, flesh and blood. Just like a woman bleeding for 7 days. And then on the 8th day, no more flesh and blood. So these are the things that we see that parallel to what we're talking about, okay? Go ahead, keep reading.
Excuse me. And on the 8th day he shall take to him 2 turtle doves, or 2 young pigeons, and come before the Lord unto the door of the tabernacle of the congregation, and give them unto the priest.
So on the 8th day, you clean from that issue, but that would have took however long, but you could have had that issue for 6 months. It's just saying that once the issue is stopped running, count off 7 days, and then you're clean. Go ahead, keep reading.
And the priest shall offer them.
That's good. Verse 16.
And if any man's seed of copulation go out from him, then he shall wash all his flesh in water, and be unclean until the even. And every garment and every skin, whereon is the seed of copulation, shall be washed with water, and be unclean until the even. The woman also with whom man shall lie with seed of copulation, they shall both bathe themselves in water, and be unclean until the even.
So that right there is talking about when you having relations and your sperm come out, then you unclean to eat. So after you have relations, men and women, go take a bath. That's what it's telling you. You know what I'm saying? Which is pretty hygienically sound. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't want to not take a bath after doing that. You know what I'm saying? Men and women. So that's what I'm saying. Like I'm like the Lord. Even when you go back a couple chapters and you start looking at when the woman have a baby, all this stuff. Like the Lord is colder than science. Like he's predating science. Let's say that because these things still really kind of important from a medical point of view as well. And I don't know about when you have a running issue, but it don't matter because he's gonna give you the whole answer. The whole answer is so that you don't defile the tabernacle that's amongst them anyway. That's what he on anyway. But verse 19.
And if a woman have an issue, and her issue in her flesh be blood.
All right, so, and we know what that is. There's only one way a woman going to have an issue that a man ain't. You understand what I'm saying? That's how you really know what we're talking about. Because other than that, why do we have to give her anything special? Like her toes ain't no different. Her hands ain't no different. Her butt ain't no different. You understand? But there's one thing that is. So when a woman have an issue of her issue in her flesh be blood, she should be put apart 7 days. So that 7 days is saying when she had that issue, she's put apart 7 days. So it don't matter what it's like telling you have 7 days to have this issue. Inside that 7 days, you're fine. If you walk outside that 7 days, something's probably wrong with you. That's really that's really what he's getting at. 7 days is the norm. Now that don't mean that if you go outside the 7 days, once or twice something wrong with you. But if you're going 9, 10 days every month, you probably want to go get checked out. Like, and most women know that. You know what I'm saying? Like that ain't normal. Okay. Like I said, maybe not. And I don't know. I mean, I do have a wife, kids, a mom. You know what I'm saying? I've been around. I know a little bit, and I know most of the women that I know say if you're going past 7 days, something ain't right. Now, maybe you are 8 days all the time, then I guess that's normal for you. You still got to wait till that 8th day, and then you're going to start your count of 7. You need to have a count of 7 days, though. And that's where it get confusing. Because, like I said, the brother was like, well, we'll get there later. So read that again, 19.
And if a woman have an issue, and her issue in her flesh be blood, she shall be put apart 7 days.
Yeah.
And whosoever toucheth her shall be unclean until the even.
Go ahead.
And everything that she lieth upon in her separation shall be unclean. Everything also that she sitteth upon shall be unclean.
Let's skip to 24.
And if any man lie with her at all, and her flowers be upon him,
Stop. Men don't lie with women on their cycle. So this means that this got to be day one. That means this happened by oops, not on purpose. You know what I'm saying? Like, this happened, okay? But it does happen. But it happened that while they was lying together, she came on her flower. Now, both of them, and to me this is where it's really key of showing you how long somebody's unclean. But read 24, go ahead.
and if any man lie with her at all, and her flowers be upon him, he shall be unclean 7 days.
So now he got to ride the same 7 days she got to ride. Even though, and this is where I think we're gonna have to be able to clear up the argument here. Because like she on 7 days and he on 7 days. She is still bleeding though. He's not. You know what I mean? So it doesn't matter when she stopped bleeding, it's when she started. Okay, so far. Go ahead.
And all the bed whereon he lieth shall be unclean.
Yep.
And if a woman have an issue of her blood many days out of the time of her separation,
Her separation is the 7 days. If she continues to bleed past that,
or if it run beyond the time of her separation, all the days of the issue of her uncleanness shall be as the days of her separation. She shall be unclean. Every bed whereon she lieth all the days of her issue shall be unto her as the bed of her separation. And whatsoever she sitteth upon shall be unclean, as the uncleanness of her separation. And whosoever toucheth those things shall be unclean, and shall wash his clothes and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the even. But if she be cleansed of her issue, then she shall number to herself 7 days, and after that she shall be clean.
Right, so if she go past it, then she gonna have to count 7 days. Why is that? Because you done went past what's normal, something wrong. And here's the catch to that. Count 7 days, because if you going past, hey, we need to make sure you're clear. Meaning you might stop bleeding on day, you might have bled out to day 9. Then you ain't bled on day 10 and day 11, then you might bleed on day 12. Like something might be wrong inside. And so therefore, he's saying, let's clear 7 days. Like, as opposed to saying the day after. Because you would have already, like if this is a 13 or 12 day period, you would have already covered 7 days. Like, okay, well, shoot, we might as well wait till the day after. I'm going to go to the priest. Like, nah, you need to clear 7 more days now. Well, how come I don't need to clear 7 more days before? Because before you was normal. Now you don't went past normal. We need to make sure you straight. So go ahead. Now that you done stopped bleeding, give me 7 days. No blood for 7 days. Now you can come down here to the priest. What verse we at?
29.
29. All right, read 28 and 29 again.
But if she be cleansed of her issue, then shall number to herself 7 days, and after that she shall be clean. And on the 8th day she shall take unto her 2 turtles, or two young pigeons, and bring them unto the priest, to the door of the tabernacles of the congregation. And the priest shall offer the one for a sin offering, and the other for a burnt offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for her before the Lord for the issue of her uncleanness.
Let's see why. Go ahead.
Thus shall ye separate the children of Israel from their uncleanness, that they die not in their uncleanness, when they defile my tabernacle that is among them. This is the law of him that hath an issue, and of him whose seed goeth from him, and is defiled therewith, and of her that is sick of her flowers, and of him that hath an issue, of the man, and of the woman, and of him that lieth with her that is unclean.
Right, so that's where they all come from. But pretty much the group here, y'all all one accord of understanding. Go ahead, bro.
But today, right, most of the women, they are clean, right? It's not like back in the days when they wear rags, when they have their issues together.
question. So, number one, in this whole chapter, the most important part was verse 31 through 33, where he says, "Thus shall ye separate the children of Israel from their uncleanness, that they die not in their uncleanness when they defile my tabernacle that is among them." So the tabernacle was literally the church, where he dwelt, the tent in the tabernacle, where the veil in the temple was, the sanctuary. So he's saying don't defile that. That's number one. Not our bodies in this case. Then let's go to Isaiah 24. Isaiah 24. Isaiah 24. And because I clearly understand your question. And like in my house, there's 4 women basically, 3 anyway. You know what I mean? And boy, it's probably not a day that go by that we not, I mean, well, actually it is, because I think that's a true story when they say when women be around each other, they kind of synchronize. They do kind of do that. But still, it's not always 100% accurate. So there's definitely been months that went by my house where at some point, and I had a dog, and she was a girl. So between the dog bleeding, because she do, and the 3 women bleeding, you know what I'm saying? It was like, dang, is there ever a time when my house is clean? And the reality is, it wasn't. The law's still good. If a woman is on her cycle, whatever she touch, whatever she lay on, wherever she sit, the car, all that, it's unclean. Now, notice what it said. When you got unclean that way, you was bathed and you unclean till evening. Being unclean is not a sin. Eating unclean, that's a whole other animal. You know what I'm saying? But to be unclean, that's not the sin. So when a woman's on her cycle, she's not sinning. And if that woman touched you, she hasn't caused you to sin. It's just now you both unclean, go take a bath. So I would suggest to all Americans who are trying to keep the commandments, read your Bible, pray, and take a bath every day. You know what I'm saying? Right. But now, catch. The reason why he didn't want you to be unclean is so you don't defile the tabernacle that's around you, the church that they had. Now, let's look at this Isaiah 24, and let's read verse 5. We're just going to read this one verse here. When you get there, go ahead and read it.
The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof.
See, he's saying the whole earth is defiled because the people who live here. Why is that?
Because they have transgressed the laws.
Because we've been broke God's commandments. The earth is defiled. Go ahead.
Changed the ordinance.
Yes, sir.
Broken the everlasting covenant.
Right, so he says since we did that, it doesn't even matter. You can't avoid it. It's just like right now, church is right here. Man, come on, man. This is a hotel, man. You ain't even tell me this building ain't unclean. Every day. And if it ain't unclean, it's whoredoms going on up in here. We know that. You know what I'm saying? While we down here having church. Man, while we down here having church today, we done been out here for 4 or 5 hours. Somebody done been up there breaking the commandments. You know what I'm saying? Like, just think of that. It's not the same tabernacle. See, when you look at the tabernacle that they had, let's go to Hebrews real quick. Hebrews chapter 9. Hebrews chapter 9. This is what you didn't want to defile. Hebrews chapter 9. So, to answer your question, the reality is the best thing we can do to keep that commandment is to take a bath, ladies and gentlemen. You know what I'm saying? When a woman on her cycle, now look, I'm going to tell you, I'm going to be personal. In my house, and me and my wife have been together for years in this word, when I would say 90% of the times that she's on her cycle, I'm lying somewhere else. Whether I'm lying on the floor, but I like the floor, to be honest. Or I might be lying on the sofa in another room. But most of the time when she's on her cycle, but you know what that's more about? That's more about me than her. You know what I'm saying? I'm just going to be absolute, because I don't want to be tempted laying up in the bed with her knowing she on her cycle. Even if it's day 5, 6, and 7 or 4 when she not necessarily bleeding. You understand what I'm saying? So like I pass. Just let me know when your 7 days is up, and then I can come back into my space. Other than that, I'll pass. You know what I'm saying? Because on day 6, she not bleeding. And like, you know, we don't need to be frisky. You know what I'm saying? Because we can't go there. Hebrews chapter 9. So here's the tabernacle. Let's start at verse 9 and 1. When you get there, go ahead.
Then verily the first covenant had also ordinances of divine service, and a worldly sanctuary. For there was a tabernacle made, the first.
This is the tabernacle that we're talking about. He said that you don't defile my tabernacle that's amongst them. He said there was a tabernacle made. The first was what? Go ahead.
Wherein was the candlestick and the table.
All this was in the tabernacle. The candlestick, the showbread, the table, all that, and that was called the sanctuary. Go ahead.
And after the second veil, the tabernacle, which is called the holiest of all, which had the golden censer, and the ark of the covenant overlaid round about with gold, wherein was the golden pot that had manna, and Aaron's rod that budded, and the tables of the covenant, and over it the cherubims of glory shadowing the mercy seat.
So that's what the tabernacle was. So he's saying, don't defile that. Not don't defile the church you might have seen in Gary, or you know, the Philly church, you know, like, or the hotel we in now. You know what I'm saying? Not don't defile these places, but don't defile the tabernacle that's amongst you that I gave specific instructions on. So, long story short, to keep the commandment is to make sure you ain't lying down with a mistress woman. Other than that, this whole land is defiled. You ain't doing nothing by, like, oh, okay, you go tell your wife, well, baby, you on your cycle, don't get in the car with me. Well, okay, but the lady who parked next to you, she did the whole get out the car like this number. You know what I'm saying? So she got your, yeah. So I mean, boy, I'm bad. Jude, you something else, bro. He said he thinks about that, but she also. But
I got a cold bathroom.
But long story short, though, it's really no way of avoiding that. The whole earth is defiled by the inhabitants thereof. So hopefully that helped answer your question. All right. So are there any other questions? It is about that time, but you know, we got any other questions? Do there be questions online? You be asleep. Huh? What you say, bro?
I said a person had one online, but they deleted it.
Oh, okay. I forgot you are watching, because usually I go look. How you remember what it said? What did it say?
If like celebrating birthdays is idolatry.
Oh, okay. I'll answer that question real quick. Where there is no law, sin is not imputed. Nowhere in the Bible does it not say that you cannot, I don't know, give him a gift on his birthday. Now, we can see the giving of gifts in the Bible. It also says gifts pervert judgment. The Bible is very clear. It would say, do not gift your son on the day that he was born or the day of his birth. It doesn't say that anywhere. When you read Romans chapter 14, I'm going to go there. That's how we're going to end. I'm going to read it real quick. When you read Romans 14, here's what it does say. And you know, we read today and we looked at people's ages. How do you know somebody's age if you ain't, I mean, and you might be like, but I mean, look, man, you need to know my birthday next week. Do you realize that I just realized how old I am? Like the last couple of days. Like I had a whole nother age in my head. You think I'm joking? I was like, bro, you are not that old. Like I was like, what are you doing? Like I was like, what year is it? I'm looking at it. I'm like, bro, you're not that old. So what I'm getting to is like, it gotta be something that's, because if I'm gonna forget something that simple, trust me, I ain't even gonna know the next birthday. You know, I'm not gonna know how old I am. And these people knew. Kings knew. You had to be 30 to be a priest, 25 to wait in the priest ministry. How do you know these things? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm challenging. Boy, you ain't 25, you 24 and a half. Boy, get up out of here. You know what I'm saying? But let me read this real quick. I'll read it. Romans 14. Him that is weak in the faith, receive ye, but not to doubtful disputation. For one believe that he may eat all things, another who is weak eateth herbs. So that verse 1 and 2, he's saying you got some people who eat meat, some people who don't. All right? He said, let not him that eat despise him that eat not, Let not him which eateth not judge him that eateth, for God hath received him. Who are you to judge another man's servant? To his own master he stand, meaning we stand and we fall to God. Not to, I don't stand and fall to Jews. You understand? So that's, and when I say that, I'm saying because that's what get to happening when we get to pulling out, should we celebrate birthdays, or should we eat meat or not? Let's go there first. That's what we're talking about. Verse 5, one man esteems one day above another. Another esteem every day alike. Let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind. He that regardeth the day, regardeth it unto the Lord. And he that regardeth not the day, to the Lord he doeth not regard it. So what he getting at with that is, like, yo, hey, I was geeked when I made 21, 25, 30, stuff like that. Why? Because they kept telling me I wasn't going to see 18. So it was like, yo, like, I don't need nobody to celebrate with me. It was me and God. I'm like, dude, I'm still here. You know what I'm saying? Then I know another man, he like, man, it's just another day to me. I thank God every day I'm alive. Bet. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter. It ain't got nothing to do with what anybody else think. It's between you and God. And there's no law saying that when your birthday? When your birthday? What day were you born? You. Huh? October 11th? That's not a bad day. All right, so when October 11th, it ain't nothing wrong with all of us giving you $5, is it? Is something wrong with that to you? On October 11th? Because it ain't nothing wrong with it on October 10th, is it? Or then it shouldn't be nothing wrong with it on October 11th. So I know that wasn't your question. So hopefully that helps us understand that. And then later on in that chapter, he said, verse 14, he said, I know it. No. Let me see. I'm trying to see. But if man, let him. Verse 16. He said, "Let not then your good be evil spoken of. For the kingdom of God is not meat and drink, but righteousness and peace." That ain't the one I'm looking for. It said, "Let every man be fully persuaded in his own mind." That should be in there too.
You read it in verse 5.
Oh, there we go. But at the end of the day, that's what we're saying. One man esteem one day above another, another esteem every day alike. Let everybody be persuaded in their own mind. Like, if you don't want to celebrate your birthday, born day, I call it born day, to try to be out in tradition. But it's the same thing. But if you don't want to have no recognition, don't tell nobody when it is. I got a brother out there, me and him share the same day. Me share the same day, and I can't tell you who he is because he say he don't want nobody to know when his birthday is because he don't want nobody to celebrate. So I'm the only person that get to know that though. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm saying, but we two extremes. He don't want it done. Me, I'm like, yo, we can celebrate everybody because it ain't many times you get to celebrate anybody. So it's like, yo, you know what I'm saying? You got a birthday coming around, especially when you start talking to elders. Like Sister Mildred, you know what I'm saying? As hard as she worked, when the last time anybody do anything for her? So if a birthday come around and they make you do something for her, then we'll make it such a bad thing. So that's just something that, especially, parents, us as parents, we got kids, you know what I'm saying? Like, we always doing for them. Now they 23, 24, 25, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Now they got their own money. Like, it's nothing, like let them have that opportunity to bless you now. You know what I'm saying? Because really, you ain't never given them the opportunity to do so. When, you know what I'm saying, they might feel like they owe you a little bit. So, anyway, any other questions, y'all, before we shut it down? All right, y'all, we're going to stand face Jerusalem. Hopefully, those who's watching online got an understanding as well. In Jesus' name.
Our Father,
Our Father,
which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy will be done.
Thy will be done.
In earth. As it is in heaven.
As it is in heaven.
Give us this day.
Give us this day.
Our daily bread.
Our daily bread.
And forgive us our debts.
And forgive us our debts.
As we forgive our debtors.
As we forgive our debtors.
And lead us not into temptation.
And lead us not into temptation.
But deliver us from evil.
Deliver us from evil.
For thine is the kingdom.
For thine is the kingdom.
And the power.
And the power.
And the glory forever.
Glory forever.
In Jesus' name.
In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Amen.